Surgery is a very scary thing. You are literally putting your life into someone else's hands. And unfortunately, sometimes those hands aren't focused on the task. They're focused on doing some of this. And maybe even a little of this. And God forbid, Lord help us, sometimes even this. What I'm talking about today is the dancing doctor trend. It's kind of dwindled in popularity after some of the doctors participating in it lost their license because of it, which I think is justice served. And in fact, I think that's not far enough. I think if you are a doctor who is compromising the health of their patient because of this dancing trend that you did, you should probably face a little bit more than just the license being revoked. You literally put their life at risk for some clout. Like, that's not an exaggeration to say. Now, this was a bit of a viral trend for a little bit. It actually predates TikTok. It actually was before TikTok, where for some reason some doctors got it in their fucking noodle that this would be like a really quirky, fun marketing thing for their practice, and somehow didn't recognize that this would scare the shit out of people, because no one wants their doctor to be the zany goofball who's going to, fool around during very sensitive surgeries. Would stop to film TikTok videos of them dancing with like pieces of their patients in their hands and using it as props, or just generally dancing or filming skits while operating on a patient. Just imagine that nightmarish scenario. You're about to go unconscious from the anesthesia, and as your eyes are closing, you hear the tick-tock 3-second countdown. And when it hits 0, you just go straight to Valhalla. It's such a terrifying thing to think about because surgery is so sensitive. You don't need me to sit here and tell you how dangerous surgery can be. Obviously, if you've developed object permanence, you can fucking recognize that surgery is something that is not to be taken lightly. It's not small potatoes by any means. So when you're going under for a procedure, you would pray that all of the doctors there are on your team, there for you 100% to, fix whatever the problem is or whatever's going on there. But in this trend, it was the exact opposite. It's like they waited for the patient to go to sleep and turn that fucking operating room into a nightclub. Hey, is the idiot asleep? Perfect. Drop the disco ball, bring in the dancing lobsters. Jill, hit it. Where are my boner jams? We're filming a TikTok. And it led to some problems. Now, the one I want to focus on today is a video that actually was very popular a few years ago and is making the rounds again because there is a follow-up to this story that I'd like to get into after showing it to you.
Latoya Arsheen was among the first to see video of Dr. Wendell Boutte making an incision and mugging for the camera while the rap song Cut It played.
I don't want to get DMCA'd, so I'm not letting the song play, but you know how the song goes. You need to cut it. Little acapella for you.
That's Arsheen on the table. Cut It is your song, girlfriend. You did awesome. The photo release form is signed only by a member of Boutte's staff. Where Arsheen was supposed to sign is blank.
I feel disrespected on a lot of levels.
The song's playing here again while they're dancing with a portion of her flesh. This is actual Ed Gein type shit. This is diabolical. That's like something a Dark Souls boss would do. Use flesh as some kind of instrument. That is so disturbing. Like, I don't know what they were expecting with this video when they posted it. Like, did they think this would become like the official music video for Cut It or something going forward? Or like, I don't know how they thought this was a good idea and how they wouldn't get in trouble for it. Like, this is not what you would want your doctors to be doing while you're under. Because then you have to start to question, well, what else did they do that wasn't filmed? Like, I woke up from the surgery and my butt was a little sore. I'm questioning a lot of things now. Like, what's going on? Like, this is only what they filmed. A far more horrible things also could have been happening off camera. And even what happened on camera is unacceptable. It's just so fucked.
Do you think that's your flesh?
I think it is, with the remainder of the song.
Former patients have now come forward with complaints. Arsheen plans legal action not just about the video, but about her results.
How does your body look now?
Disfigured.
So according to her, her body is disfigured as a result of the surgery, and from what I can tell, many other complaints say the same thing, that they had less than stellar results. As you would probably guess, if your doctor was more focused on making TikToks as opposed to the actual surgical procedure they were supposed to be focusing on. You'd probably have better luck getting your surgery done by some mysterious shady goober off the black market. You'd be risking your kidneys, but in a practice like this, you're risking your whole life here, because you might just die on the operating table because they're too busy focusing on hitting like a fat fucking Gangnam Style while you're under on the table. really dated myself on that one because I couldn't think of any of the new dance trends, but you get what I'm saying. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of these do predate TikTok. This one in particular, this happened in 2017 through 2018, and it was posted to YouTube and Instagram. But this trend did persist all the way into TikTok, and I'm sure some of you have seen more recent headlines about some dancing doctors on TikTok that have also faced some repercussions for that, luckily. But this one is, I think, the most shocking one because they are actually dancing around with pieces of the patient. So the follow-up to this story is there was a lawsuit launched here, obviously, from former patients of this practice. There's numerous videos of Dr. Wendell Boutte here dancing as their patients are under, and as you've seen, even using them as, or parts of them, as props in the dancing. While she's operating, also dancing. The surgical assistants, everyone who even enters the room just gets hit with this fucking boogie virus and they just can't help but dance for the sake of these videos, all while they're supposed to be doing surgery. She faced numerous lawsuits, all of which I believe have resolved, and she's been ordered to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the victims. She had her medical license suspended, but from what I can tell, it was only suspended for 2.5 years, which means she can legally practice medicine again in Georgia? I actually can't find a follow-up on that, but she wasn't permanently suspended, which I have to raise an eyebrow to. I don't know how this didn't become like a more criminal case where she'd face jail time. Like, I think it is super severe, especially when you look at some of these cases. So a patient named Silma Cornelius went into her practice, and she was only there for a couple of small things, but was eventually convinced to do bigger procedures, and eventually paid $11,284, and then also had another scheduled cosmetic procedure down the line. So she went back on February 18th of 2016 to return for that cosmetic procedure, and something went wrong. 8 hours into the surgery, after anesthesia was discontinued, and before her lower abdomen had been sutured, she went into cardiac arrest. Paramedics arrived at the scene, and it took 30 minutes to close up her abdomen, and they had to carry her down the stairs because there wasn't an elevator big enough to accommodate a stretcher. And by the time she arrived at the medical center, she was in severe distress, unresponsive, and unable to breathe without a ventilator, and suffered a severe and debilitating catastrophic brain injury, and left her reliant on a feeding tube and around-the-clock care. The quirky dancing doctor was legitimately ruining people's lives, disfiguring them permanently, and in this case, leaving a woman with permanent brain damage. Under no circumstances should she be allowed to practice again. It's not like this is just some kind of freak mistake that she made one time. She had dozens of videos doing this with many victims. Like, this isn't just some kind of whoopsie-daisy that someone makes, like, oh, how was I supposed to know that dancing during surgery and, parading around parts of the patients was a bad idea? Like, what do you mean? This is new information that nobody knew. Like, I couldn't have avoided this. This was truly inevitable. It's fucking ridiculous. I really think she got off very easy in this case. Yes, she was ordered to pay back hundreds of thousands of dollars to some of the victims, but she was also an extremely successful dermatologist. I don't think that hurt her very much. Like, she got off of this, in my opinion, very easy. Now, the anesthesiologist in that Cut It video you just saw also faced some legal problems as well, but he was actually cleared of malpractice last year. In that video I showed you with Cut It playing, Dr. Roland Pinkney was in there dancing as well. He was the anesthesiologist that day, and he was facing some legal issues here, but was ultimately deemed not liable in any way for what the victim had experienced. As a result of this, 100% of the fault was put once again on Wendell, and basically they were arguing that him dancing was not a breach of care. Like, the argument they made ultimately was that it was just him being less than professional, but him being unprofessional doesn't constitute breaching the medical standard of care that he needed to uphold. I have to firmly disagree here. I feel like anyone in that operating room should know that you shouldn't be filming fucking YouTube videos and TikTok dances while you are in the middle of a surgery. Now, in his defense, he was under the impression that the patient consented to having that kind of content made during the procedure. So it does get a little fishy there with exactly what he was aware of. That is a weird thing to consent to. I don't imagine there's many people out there that would be super happy to see themselves under the knife and having their doctors like dance around with their flesh. So that still seems a little odd to me, but ultimately he was found not in violation of that medical standard of care. It was no malpractice on his end was the verdict. But yeah, pretty fucked up situation that I just wanted to talk a little bit about because I dove into it pretty deep today. That's really about it. So yeah.